Encounters Part 2. In the last video, I briefly went through some encounters during my teenage years and youth. The strongest encounter at that time was when we moved to that apartment and we experienced the cowboy phenomenon, as I like to call it. During my 20s, I spent my life as a rock musician, playing all over Southern California and in the Southwest. I kept this up until I was in my early 30s, and during that time, a few things happened, but nothing too extraordinary. I read books and watched paranormal shows, but wasn't as invested in it as I was in my teens. I was too busy trying to be a rock star and having too much fun doing it. One spooky event that sticks out happened at a friend's home in Santa Ana, California. It was rumored to be haunted, I think by his family members or someone else. In the home, he had a small stage set up in his living room where he would let Spanish bands rehearse. The place was set up really cool, and he decided to let us practice in his home. One night after we were done practicing, we packed it all up when out of nowhere a loud growling sound came out of the speakers. We all looked at each other, turned towards the door, and got out of there as quick as we could. Later on, we joked that maybe the ghost did not like punk rock. Soon after that, the neighbors started complaining about the music, and we were forced to find a new place to rehearse. The second big haunting that I can recall happened in my early 30s. I had worked at an automobile repair shop that was a few miles from the beach. On October 1st, 2012, I was late to work because of problems with my bank. When I got to the shop, the whole place had been sealed off by the police, so I had to drive around and find a way through a back street. What had occurred was that across the street from the shop, a mobile mechanic had been working under a recreational vehicle. Early in the morning, someone driving down the street got blinded by the sun and slammed into the back of the vehicle. From what I heard later on, the RV was parked a couple of feet into the street, and it had apparently stuck out enough for the unfortunate accident to have happened. When the car slammed into the RV, it propelled it forward, forcing it off its hydraulic jacks and landing on top of the man. The mechanic disregarded any floor jacks for safety, and that mistake would forfeit his life. When I finally got to work around 11 a.m. in front of the shop, his body was laying in the middle of the street, covered with a white sheet. It was an unfortunate tragedy that would affect many lives. A few days after the event, things would start happening at work and at home. Coming to work the next few weeks were daunting. When I was alone, I would feel like someone was behind me, and other times I felt like someone was watching me. In the evenings when it would start getting dark early, I would be in the restroom and would feel like someone was standing outside the stall. The employee restroom has two stalls and a main door, so it can be used as a changing room if needed. When the main door is closed and you're using the stalls, it blocks out the outside and you're alone in a room inside a room. The situation finally peaked when I was alone during closing time and I began shutting off the lights. As the room got dark, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a man standing, so I quickly turned to where he stood, and there was no one there. I thought someone had snuck into the shop, but I stood there alone, staring into the vacant room. After that night, I would feel animosity around me every time I sensed like I was being watched. It was almost like he knew that I could see him and was enraged that I could not capture his message. After deciding, the feeling of being watched followed me home, and when I would turn off the lights, there was a sense of something dark and angry when I would stare into the darkest corner of the room. The familiar feeling of a heavy atmosphere would be present, and in the corner the desolate shadow would stand watch. Because I worked with heavy machinery and had vehicles that were 2 to 3 tons above me at times, the situation concerned me. I did not know if it would try to harm me, and I became extra vigilant in my work. Right before Thanksgiving, I decided to cleanse my home. This time it was done correctly, and I stated out loud to the spirit that it was time to move on there was no reason for the anger and that a better place was out there in the light. I finished the cleansing, sensed the lightness in the area, and felt like it all had come to an end. Soon Thanksgiving passed, and I believe his funeral had occurred at some point in that time. The activity would cease as fast as it had manifested, and life would feel normal again. It could be that the spirit moved on and had accepted death, or it could be that I was distracted with the holidays and forgot about the strange activities that had occurred. Even though it could have all been psychological on my part, there's no denying that feeling of darkness and anger around you, that feeling of tension in the room when you get into an argument, but in this case, there's no one there. Some people could say it was demonic, but I do not think that was the case. I think people nowadays like to label anything demonic for the shock factor they can apply to their social media videos. I think that if something demonic would have been there, it would have been something more physical and elemental. Something that would make your core shake in terror and make you wish for daylight. In all my life, I have never felt something that I would call demonic. I have felt and seen angry spirits twice in my life, and I have felt and seen regular entities. I have theories about what demons might be, but without actually experiencing that kind of event, it would all be speculation on my part. In the end, I think this might have just been a man looking for answers, and in the end he found the light and moved on to a better place. Thank you for joining us today. Please don't forget to share, subscribe, and hit the like button. For notifications of new videos, you can click on the bell icon or you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. If you would like to contribute your own encounter or story, please contact me at the email below. Thank you, and keep an open mind, for there are things out there that are yet to be understood.